Hello. Most of us grew up hearing about the Grimm tales, and some of us, I think, may have been even deeply affected by that. And I think a couple of times already I shared some Grimm tales and interpreted them in a more Buddhist way. Today I want to share another Grimm tale story from a Buddhist perspective. That emphasized the role of our own effort in practicing the Buddha Dharma. Do you know Mother Holle? Anybody heard of that story? Interesting. Oh, one person, Mother Holle or Mother Hulda. Maybe that's more common here. No? Wow. It's one of the big stories in Germany. All right, so Mother Holle, Mutter Holle. Yeah. Frau Holle. Frau Holle. It's the one with you shake her bed out of the window and very diligently, and then the human beings will have snow on the earth. No? All right. So since I changed it a little bit, it is not the original one, but maybe you can get a sense and later read on your own what the original story is. But better to stick with this one because this makes a little bit more sense for me. Okay, I shortened it a little bit and then I will give some comment. So once upon a time there was a widow who had 2 daughters. One of them was kind-hearted and diligent, and the other a little bit reluctant and a bit lazy. The mother, however, loved the lazy one best, because she was her own daughter. And so the other, who was only her stepdaughter, was to do all the work at home, and was quite the Cinderella there. So her stepmother sent her out every day to sit at the well to spin, and until her fingers bleed. Now it chanced one day that some blood fell on the spindle, and as the girl stopped over the well to wash it off, the spindle suddenly sprang out of her hand and fell into the well. So the story actually, because we talked about well and such all the time with the teachings on Chandra Kirti's a supplement, so I kind of had this picture of the well from that story in mind. She ran home crying to tell her misfortune, but her stepmother spoke harshly to her. And after giving her a violent scolding, said unkindly, "As you have let the spindle fall into the well, you may go yourself and fetch it out." The girl went back to the well, not knowing what to do, and at last, in her distress, she jumped into the water after the spindle. So I think some of us may have found themselves in a similar situation. So maybe we have lived in an environment for quite a while where we didn't know what to do. We had a lot of distress, maybe so many challenges from others coming towards us or just from within. So maybe then we have approached a wrong path. We took maybe even drugs. We hang around with boyfriends, girlfriends, or just jumped into a lot of work, and so forth. And then we came to a point where we are so much in mental pain that we are unable to go any further. And this is a turning point where we know deeply within that something has to change. And this may be the time where we jump into the cold water in unknown terrain. Maybe then we book a ticket to Spokane to visit Sravasti Abbey to learn about meditation and study Buddhism. Anyway, the girl sprang into the well to look for the spindle, or maybe we can say to look for the tooth. The girl remembered nothing more until she awoke and found herself in a beautiful meadow at Sravasti Abbey, up there, full of sunshine like today, with countless flowers blooming in every direction, no knapweed. She walked over the meadow, and presently she came upon Shenresi Hall, backdoor kitchen. She smelled the bread, and inside the kitchen she found an oven full of actually German-made bread. And the loaves cried out to her, hol uns hinaus, German, take us out, or alas, we shall be burned to cinder, we were back so long ago. So she took the kitchen mitts and took them all out. Then she went a little bit farther on the way to the garden, where she passed the old Naga apple tree full of apples. They said, shake me, cried the tree. My apples, one and all, are ripe. So she shook the tree compassionately, and the apples came falling down upon her like rain. But she continued shaking until there was no single apple left upon it. Then she carefully gathered the apples together in a heap and walked on again. After circumambulating the Buddha in the garden, the next thing she came to was Gotami house, where the nuns live. And there she saw several beings with bald heads and red clothing from the top to the bottom. That was quite an unusual sight for her. First she was terrified, and then turned to run away. But one of the nuns called after her, what are you afraid of, dear child of the Buddha? Stay with us. If you study, practice, offer service with us diligently, you will be very happy. You must be very careful, though, to have no complaints about our schedule, chanting, and food, so that we can all be of greatest benefit to sentient beings. The nun spoke so kindly that the girl summoned up courage and agreed to fill out the long application form and stay as a long-term visitor. She took care to do everything according to the nuns' requests, and every time she joined the nuns in study and meditation with diligence, the beings close and far away felt heart and love and compassion by knowing that the nuns and guests at Sravasti Abbey practice every day with full devotion. So the girl stayed on with the nuns, for some time, and then she began to grow a bit unhappy. She could not at all at first tell why she felt sad, but she became conscious that she was longing to go home to share with her own people what she has learned. Also, she was 1,000 times better off with the nuns at Sravasti Abbey than with her mother and sister. So maybe you can say she took care of her own well-being at Sravasti Abbey and now longs to share with her family what she has learned. After waiting a while, she went to the nuns and said, I cannot stay with you any longer, for although I'm so happy here, I must return to my own people to share with them what I have learned. Then the nuns said, we are pleased that you should want to go back to your own people and share what you have learned. And as you have studied, practiced, and offered service so well and faithfully, we will continue our work to benefit you and all others as well. Thereupon, one of the nuns drove the girl to the shuttle. Arriving in Newport to enter the shuttle, the girl recollected that she has gained so much wealth nobody can take from her. It's more precious than any wish-fulfilling jewel. That is reward of all your practice and generosity and being of service, the nun said. And as she spoke, she handed her a book, Approaching the Buddha's Path, the first volume of the Library of Wisdom and Compassion. So basically, this points out that through her own effort, diligence, she made most use of the Dharma in her life. She was open and receptive, some of the defining characteristic of a student who relies upon a teacher and teachings. So after a long drive, the girl found herself back in the old world, close to her mother's house, and she entered the courtyard. The rooster who sat on the well called out, "Kukuridu, kukuridu, your kind daughters come back to you." Then she went into her mother's and sister's home, and as she was so enriched with all good qualities such as love, compassion, and wisdom, they gave her a warm welcome. She related to them all that has happened, and when the mother heard how she had come by her great inner riches, she thought she should like her lazy daughter to go as well. So she made the sister go and sit by the well and spin. Same story, I will shorten it. Like her sister, she awoke in a beautiful meadow at Sravasti Abbey and walked over till she came to the ovens in Shanrezi Hall kitchen. Take us out, or alas, we shall be burned to a cinder. We were baked so long ago, cried the loaves as before, but the lazy girl answered, do you think I'm going to burn my hands for you? And walked on. Presently she came to the apple tree nearby Ananda Hall. Shake me, I pray, my apples, one and all are ripe, it cried. But she only answered, a nice thing to ask me to do. One of the apples might fall on my head, and passed on. At last she came to Gotami house, where she was welcomed by the nuns and introduced in the same way as her sister has been. The first day she was very obedient and diligent and exerted herself to please the nuns, for she thought of the good qualities she should get in return. The next day, however, she began to complain over the work, and the third day she was more idle still. Then she began to lie in bed in the mornings and refused to get up. Worse still, she not only disobeyed the daily schedule, but also complained about the food and the chanting. Not good here. So in the end, nobody was really happy, neither the nuns nor the girl. But the girl still thought through her just being at the Abbey will provide her with the inner qualities that she was aiming for without any effort. And she left with that kind of illusion. One of the nuns drove her to the shuttle in Newport as she had led her sister. But as she was entering the bus, instead of feeling enriched in qualities, she didn't feel too good within. Due to the nun's compassion, she was gifted with the book One Teacher, Many Tradition, the introductory book of the Library of Wisdom and Compassion. So the nun said, maybe you will find inspiration in this, and the shuttle went off. So the lazy girl had to go home, feeling a little bit odd within, and the rooster on the well called out as she saw her, "Kukuridu, your lazy daughters, come back to you." While home, some of the seeds she planted at the Abbey, through her observation of the nuns just being here, came to some fruition. And she aimed for happiness but could not find it out there. So she started to read the book, and indeed, she felt a little bit inspired by that. And soon after, she made a conscious decision to think about the teachings and to practice it. So then with further diligence, she became just as happy as her sister. And together, actually, they practiced and studied, and they inspired many more friends and the relatives and to study the Buddha's teachings as well and to apply them in daily life. So I think everybody can do this, and it's up to us to change the route of our life. Even small steps can bring big results. So, and as some of you are here for Offering Service Day, you're right on it. Thank you.